はい。では、もう1分ぐらいね。I'll just wait a minute. We'll start.
おはようございます。先生。
はい、おはようございます。おはようございます。
こんにちは、先生。
おはようございます。先
はい、こん
生。
にちは。はい。It's off. It's on full blast for now. If it gets cold, let me know. はい。では、始めます。はい、どうぞ。はい、こんにちは。どうぞ。オンラインの皆さん、こんにちは。はい。
こんにちは。
はい。ビデオをオンにしてください。ね Please make your videos on so that we can see you. はい。では始めますね。So yesterday we just wrapped up lesson 9, and today I thought since I was telling you about it yesterday, we can directly jump into lesson 10. おはようございます。As I was saying, it's a lesson where you will be learning how to tell time in Japanese. Since you know the numbers already, it won't be very difficult, but it is a little different from the way we do it in English. So we'll be seeing that. Before we get started, 1, 今日は何月何日ですか ?9 月、9月じゃない、6月はい。16ですよね。はい。I got it right. Yes. 16日ですね。今日は6月16日です。何曜日ですかはい。こんにちは。日曜日ですね。今日は日曜日です。And as I said yesterday, we'll do a little bit of kanji before we dive into today's lesson. はい。So we're going to revise kanji first. So I'm going to put them up on the slide here. はい。First you can read this. 何ですか
漢字の
漢字のはい。This is 漢字のレビュー。ね。with elongated. はい。漢字のレビュー。Review. So this word was there before they added the V sounds to katakana. So it's often written with the B sound. Review. That is review. So ちょっと漢字のレビューをします。We'll do some review. はい、どうぞ。はい。これは食べます。The reading of the kanji is は。ね。音読みですか訓読みですかKunyomi, right? When you have kanji followed by hiragana to complete a single word, then mostly the reading is kunyomi. この漢字の音読みは何ですか Do you remember? 音読み of this kanji? We even spoke about it a little yesterday. So yes, tabemono, the ta comes from the same reading. It's also kunyomi. Yesterday, we were talking about some different words for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Asagohan, hirugohan. I said that apart from asagohan, hirugohan, there's also another more formal set of words. That is shoku. Ne, shoku. Shoku is kunyomi of this kanji. Hai, ohayo gozaimasu. Shoku is the kunyomi. You'll see it in compound words. For example, chushoku. You use naka kanji and this kanji side by side. Chushoku. It means lunch. Okay, middle of the day meal. Hai. Dozo. This is hito kanji, correct? What about this? It's the 7 kanji. So 7 people, how do we say it? Very good. Nana, hito. When you're counting people, nana, nin, ですね。1人、2人、3人、4人、5人、6人、7人, or you can also say 7人, ね。7人、8人、10人. So this is actually 7人 or 7人, right? So some counters I'm putting up also here for practice. Hai. Very good. Yasumu. Yasumu. The reading of the kanji is yasu. Ne? Yasumu. It's onyomi or kunyomi? Kunyomi, right? You're adding another hiragana. So this is kunyomi. Yasumu, yasumi, yasumimasu. Ichi group desu ka? Ni group desu ka? It's a verb, right? Very good. Ichi group ne? Hai. It does not end with ru. So automatically, ichi group desu. Ageru is it? Agaru. Of course, ageru is also there, but the character has to be correct. So here the reading of the kanji is just a. Onyomi or kunyomi? Again, followed by hiragana. So it's kunyomi. Ne? Agaru, ageru is another example. Ichi group desu ka? Ni group desu ka? Ichi group desu ne. It's ending with ru. Asan. What's the polite form? Agarimasu. Very good. You change ru to ri. Ne? Agarimasu. What about ageru? Ageru. Ichi group or ni group? Ni group desu ne. So ageru polite form is agemasu. Ne? So agarimasu. Agemasu. They have that fundamental difference. Hai. San. San. So is it bon or? Very good. San. Bon. San. It's a counter. You're counting some kind of long, thin object. Very good. Hai. Chisai, meaning small, right? Chisai. So actually the reading of the kanji is only chi, right? The elongated chi sound. Chisai. Kinyobi desu ka? Kinyobi will have kanji and then yo in between and then bi. This is just 2 kanji, right? Kyo. Special reading. Ne? Kyo means today. Konnichiwa. Hai. Kyo. これは? Chikai. Chikai. So one way you can easily tell chikai and the others, there's another similar kanji. When you see it with okurigana, that is when you see it with hiragana, followed by e, it has to be chikai. The other one does not have an e adjective, right? We have hen, hen. So here it's got to be chikai. It's the best, only way to read it. Chikai. Very good. This is sageru. Sageru. Ichi group or ni group? Ni group. So polite form is sagemasu. What about sagaru? Sagaru. Sagarimasu. Sagarimasu. That's the polite form. So that is ichi group. This is ni group. Hai. Newer, slightly newer kanji. Takai. Very good. What does it mean? Tall or expensive? Tall or expensive. So taka is the reading of the kanji. E is written afterwards. Is that a Hito kanji? Ah, very close. Okay, what's the second kanji? Goku. Gaku. Gaku. As in Gaku say Gaku. Very good. This is Dai. Dai onyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ka? Two kanjis put together. Gaku. Both are onyomi. Dai Gaku. What's Dai Gaku? College, right? College. Dai Gaku. This is the big kanji. Big, large, big in size. Hai. Hai. Very good. This is the counter suffix hon, pon, bon. So how do we read this? Ippon. Ippon. Special pronunciation. Which kanji is it? It's the same one. Now you have to use onyomi or kunyomi. Onyomi or kunyomi. What's the kunyomi? Okikunai. It's the negative form, right? Okikunai. Hai dozo. Okikunai, what does it mean? Not big. If you add amari before that, amari okikunai. Not very big. Exactly. Amari okikunai. Okikunai. So this is ikeyoshi, e adjective, right? Hai. Sen. Very good. This is sensei. You see this in sensei, right? Sen. What's this? Gatsu. What do you have to read it as? Getsu. Getsu. What do you think sengetsu means? Very good. Onyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ne. Sen getsu. Last month. I better hide this.
Yume.
Yume desu ka? Namae. Right? It's namae. Onyomi or kunyomi? Kunyomi. Actually, this is an exception. We're using kunyomi even though it's two kanjis, right? It's one of the few exceptions. This is, I think until now, this is the first one we saw. So, namae, they are both kunyomi. Hai.
Yasukunai.
Yasukunai. Very good. That was very fast. Which kanji is that? Cheap, right? Yasui, cheap. Yasui, the E is dropped and we're adding kunai. So yasu kunai, not cheap. Very good. Kongetsu, right? We saw it last time also during the review. You have to use onyomi plus onyomi. Kongetsu. Kongetsu. What does it mean? This month. Hai. Very good. Iku, polite form is? Ikimasu. To go. Iku, ikimasu. Shaku. Which one comes first? Shaku, go, ju, en. Just go in the exact order. Shaku goju en. Shaku goju en. How much is that?
100.
Very good. 150 yen, right? Onyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ka? Onyomi desu ne. It's a combination of a bunch of kanji. Mostly we'll use onyomi. 150 yen. Very good. 4 kanji. And then? Dai, right? It's the counter suffix dai. Yondai. Yondai. Kuruma ga yondai arimasu. Exactly. This is a tricky one. Home. Yes. Honda. Onyomi desu ka? Kunyomi desu ka? これは typically, so only in the case of hon, it's a bit of an exception, but ta is kunyomi. So usually hon was imported so early in Japan, it's kind of considered also to be used as a Japanese reading. So in many Japanese names, you will see this kanji. It's also read in its other reading, moto. For example, Yamamoto is a name, very common Japanese name, that uses the other reading. So this is Honda. It's a very typical Japanese surname, last name. Of course, also famous motor company, right? So this is the name of a person, Honda-san, like Tanaka-san. Sometimes the ta will become da, right? Da, when you read it in various places, it just depends on the sound. 大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫です。
はい. I feel like everybody is getting a little more confident with kanji, so I'm happy about it. はい.
Honda also it is pronounced as DA only.
Honda. Yes, da. Whereas in Tanaka, it's ta, right? Yeah. So here it's Honda, always da. It'll never be Honta. Hi. So lesson 10 kanji. Before we start, I'm just letting you know, this will be the last set of kanji that we are seeing in class. From lesson 11 onwards, you have to study it at home. The videos are available in your Hayakawa login. I think N5 videos were by me, so you're going to be familiar with the voice. If you have any questions in the kanji that you learn in the coming lessons, please feel free to ask me. Either you can come to class and ask, or you can just post a question in Google Classroom. Something doesn't make sense or you want an example or anything. Hi, you can take out your kanji workbooks. Let's take a look at lesson 10, kanji. Hi, osoi. When you're late, you have to say? Yeah, osoi is late. What do you have to say? Yeah, Mati, please stop. What do you have to say? Sumimasen. Ne? Sumimasen. There's more that you have to learn, but for now, sumimasen is enough. Hi. Abhinash-san wa chanto properly said sumimasen when he entered. Hi. Dewa. So the first kanji, since this lesson is about speaking about time, we're going to be looking at time-related kanji, right? The very first one is ji or toki. Ji and toki. These are the two readings. One of the readings, the onyomi, it's basically the counter suffix for time. As I have said, generally speaking in Japanese, numbers, they don't stand alone. You have to add something after the number to make it clear what you're talking about. So the same applies for time. You can just use the numbers. If you add ji after the number, it becomes time. So for example, 1 o'clock, ichiji. Ichiji. So ji is basically a counter suffix that means something like o'clock. We'll come to that. So for now, we're just looking at the kanji part. After the kanji, we'll go into the details, how to talk about minutes and AM, PM. So ichiji, this is the main usage of ji. You'll also see it in compound kanji words. We'll see one in the next slide. The kunyomi, toki. Toki means something like moment, right? Moment, or the time when, a period when. For example, kodomo no toki. Kodomo is? Kodomo wa nan desu ka? Child or children, right? The kodomo no toki is the time when I was a child. Watashi no kodomo no toki. When I was a child, the time when I was a child. So it also means something like when. The moment when. So this kanji has a nice story that you can learn. I know it looks like there's a lot happening, but it's not that difficult when you break it up into smaller parts. So you have this part, everybody knows that. Nan desu ka? It's the sun radical, right? Nichi, jitsu, all of that. It's a sun radical. It stands for the sun. How about this part? Just this upper part. You've seen it before. Yeah, Saturday, right? Doyobi. So you can think of it as earth or soil. Do, earth or soil. And below that, what you have is supposed to be a kind of, it's supposed to be a measurement, a measurement device kind of thing. So the way I learned this kanji was before we had clocks. Clocks were a very late invention. People used to tell time by looking at the sun, right? The movements of the sun. They would track shadows on the earth and they would measure that to find out the time, right? How much time is left in the day and so on. So that's the story of this kanji. It's one way to remember. There's another story also. Now, when you combine the earth radical and that measurement radical together, they become a new radical, which is another kanji of its own. That is Otera. Otera means temple. That is a Buddhist temple. So in Japan, they have two different types of.
Shinto.
Yes. Shinto or Shintoism is the native religion of Japan. It's not there anywhere else in the world. And they also have Buddhism, which went from India to China to Korea and Japan. So Otera is Buddhist temple. They also have Jinja. Jinja is a Shinto shrine. Jin. Ja. Jinja is a Buddhist shrine. Is a Shinto shrine. So Shinto shrines tend to be located in very foresty areas because they believed that nature had spirits and they used to worship the spirits of nature, like stones and trees and animals. They all have spirits according to Shinto. So Jinja generally would be like somewhere in the depth of a forest. And there would be these big red gate-like structures. You might have seen pictures of them. There's a lot of anime stuff. You see it all the time. So you'd have to cross a whole bunch of those gates to get to the Jinja part. So those are also very sacred to them. Otera is also very sacred to Japanese culture. Coming back to this, you have this, it's supposed to be Otera kanji on its own. So it's one of two things. Again, it's a kind of measuring thing. So in Buddhist temples, they have these really big bells, like what's captured in the image over there. And they ring them precisely at certain times of day. So this is also connected to the time concept where you run the system according to this time of day. So you can also remember it with this story. When you learn Otera kanji, you won't learn anything new. It's the same thing.
O is the kunyomi or Tera?
Tera is the kunyomi. O is just for respect. It's the usual O that we add in front. So Tera will be the reading of that kanji. Hai. Also, that kanji, Tera, it's kunyomi. Onyomi of that kanji is Ji. It's the same reading, right? So this kanji and that kanji share an onyomi. This is another important relationship between radicals and kanji. Sometimes a radical gives a sound to a kanji. It's known as the sound component of a kanji. So one of the main purposes is to give the sound to this new. So it's not that they share a sound. It's that this sound contributed to this sound. So we'll also see connections like that. It'll make learning kanji easier for you long term. Hi. So this is also a sound component. Hi.
But we can't use the kanji with the number to repeat time.
How do you mean? Yes, you can. For example, if you put ichi kanji before this, you would read it as ichiji. So this is ichi and this is ji. Daijoubu desu ka? Hai. So that is this kanji. Now let's take a look at the next one. Now we learned the kanji for hours, that is ji, right? So when you want to say it's 1 o'clock, it's the hour of 1. Right? So that's why it's the hour kanji. The next one is the minute kanji. But this kanji is multifarious. It's got a lot of things that it means. It also has the meaning of to divide something. And it also has the meaning of understanding something. So I'd like you all to read the kunyomi along with the bracketed part. Dozo. Wa, wakeru, and wakaru. There are two different sounds there, right? Wakeru, wakaru. Wakeru is divide. Wakaru is understand. Hi. Exactly. Wakarimasen, right? I don't understand. Wakaranai. It's this kanji. So, wakeru, ichi group desu ka, ni group desu ka? Ichi group, ni group. It's ending in ru. You have to change the previous sound. Ni group desu ne. Wakeru, polite form is? Wakemasu. Wakemasu. Wakeru, wakemasu. To divide something, to cut it up into smaller portions, like dividing a cake. Keiki o wakemasu. Right? I bought a birthday cake. I want to divide it among 8 people. Keiki o wakemasu. Last one, wakaru, ichi group or ni group? Ichi group desu ne. Ends in ru, the previous sound is a sound. Wakaru, polite form? Wakarimasu. Wakaru, wakarimasu. That means to understand. Now, these look like they're not related, but actually all the meanings are related. Because how do you understand something? How do we understand kanji, for example? We're breaking it up into smaller parts, dividing it into smaller portions and understanding. How are you learning Japanese? You're breaking it up. I'm learning nouns. I'm learning just the desu part. I'm learning different vocabulary. I'm learning adjectives. I'm learning verbs. You break things up and take it in. That's how the human brain understands concepts. So dividing is the core meaning of this kanji. From divide, you get minute and you get understand. When you divide an hour into smaller parts, you get minutes, right? So this is the divided portion of hour. So now coming to the writing part of the kanji, what is the upper part? 6 plus 8, right? It looks like 8, and this is supposed to be the knife radical. Very good. So as I mentioned before with 8, right? One of the ways of remembering that is it's evenly divisible down the center, and 8 is also an evenly divisible number, 4 plus 4. So you're taking a knife and dividing something right down the middle. You can remember this kanji easily like that. So we looked at wakeru and wakaru. We looked at the kanji's form. Now let's look at the onyomi. Onyomi wa nan desu ka? Fun and bun. Actually, bun has it has the meaning of portion. Please remember it separately. It has the meaning of portion. For example, watashi no bun, my portion. My part or my portion. When you order a dish and you want to share it with your friend because it's too much, これは私の分です. This is my part. それはあなたの分です. Please eat it. これは私が食べます. I'll eat this. So bun, you divide something and make it a portion. It's also a connected meaning. Fun is the counter suffix for minutes. How you count minutes in Japanese. I've mentioned before that pa-based sounds change into pa. Something similar happens with fa also. So when you count, you're going to see that sometimes it becomes hun. Sometimes it's hun, sometimes it's hun. We'll see that after a few slides.
Like the fullest for 1, 6, 8, 10.
It's going, yeah, yes, 1, 6, 8, 10. You also use it for 3. So usually for 3, you have the ba sound, but because bun is used for a different meaning, we don't see that here. So this is used for 3 also and for nan also. So nan bun doesn't come. It's nan pun and san pun. Hai. Daijoubu desu ka? Please do practice writing it a couple of times. So you've seen ji and kun, hour and minute. One more really important time-related kanji in this lesson. Hai. It's the interval kanji. Please look at the kunyomi first. What is the kunyomi? Ah, I have two readings. Aida and ma. 2 different readings. We'll see them in just a minute. Aida and ma, they both mean interval, space, or between. They have all those meanings. Depends on how you use it. What about the onyomi? Kan, ken. Kan and ken. Kan is a bit more common. So that's the one you want to remember for now. For example, the very first one, jikan. So G on its own means hour. You use it for counting the hour. But when you want to talk about time as a concept, do you have time? Do you have some time? Can we talk right now? Is jikan. Jikan. It's a period. It's an interval of hours. Jikan. Jikan. So when you want to ask someone if they have time, you can say jikan arimasu ka? Jikan arimasu ka? Ima jikan arimasu ka? Do you have some time right now? This arimasu, we also use it to ask about having or possessing things. To have and also to exist. Do you have something? For example, you want to ask somebody if they have a car. Kuruma arimasu ka? Is there a car? Is more like, do you have a car? Could you give me a ride? So that's also very common usage. Or you're very thirsty, you don't have water. You want to ask someone, sumimasen, omizu arimasu ka? Do you have some water? So it's a very common usage. So jikan, time. You also use kan as a kind of suffix to indicate period of time, duration of time, interval of time. For example, please read this. Ichinen kan. Ichinen is 1 year. Ichinen kan is a period of 1 year. So ichinen can be used in other contexts. Sometimes you end it with different things. Ichinen sei. You know, gaku sei, right? Student, sensei, teacher. Ichinen sei is a first year student. Ninen sei, second year student. If you're in college, daigaku 3年生です. I'm a third year college student. So, 1年生, 1年間, you can use it to count different things. How long were you in Japan? 1年間、日本にいました. I was there in Japan for 1 year. 6年間、アメリカにいました. I was in US for 6 years. The next usage is not so important at N5 level, but just as an example, it's here of the second reading. Dozo. Ningen. Ningen. Ningen means human being. It's like a really formal way of talking about humans as a species. You might hear it in anime and drama and things. Humans are very fickle beings and things like that. It's a very poetic way of saying it. How about this? Hi.
Like the person can't be synonymous to like jinn and nin.
Yes.
Why can't we use jinn and nin?
Mostly jin will appear only as a suffix. Yeah. Like Nihon jin, Indo jin, like that.
But there non-nin is also suffix, right?
It's also a suffix, yeah.
But here
it's not a suffix. So mostly, but it kind of goes back and forth. You do see jin in other kind of words, but modern words, nin is more common in compounds. Hi. So we have A to B no aida. The period between A and B. The time between A and B. For example, between school and college, I worked for 2 years. You can say A to B. Gakko to daigaku no aida. You can say between A and B. I was doing something. Yeah, I was studying on my own. I was in Japan. I was working and so on. Lastly, you have ma. Dozo, please read. Machigaeru. Machigaeru. Actually, this ma is a different kanji. This chigaeru is different. It's related to chigaimasu. It's not exactly the same, but it's related. Chigaeru is to get something mixed up, to get something wrong. Chigaimasu is to be different, right? Chigaeru is to you get something different. So it's like between A and B, you confuse something. You swap something. So for example, you see someone, you think it's somebody you know, you walk up to them and say, hi, how are you doing? Slowly you realize, oh, this is not her. This is somebody else. Machigaemashita. I made a mistake. I confused between two people. Hi. One more really common usage of ma, I want to share it because it's so common. It's this expression for to make it on time for something or to be in time for something. It's ma ni au. Ma ni au. It's ni particle and au, it's a verb. Aimas is to meet. So to meet the interval, in other words, to be on time. That is, you have a gap of time until a meeting, right? Say the meeting is at 12 o'clock. You have time until 12 to be on time. You make it in that interval. That is maniau. Often you hear it in dramas and things. Maniatta, maniaimashita. They exclaim it being on time is very important in Japanese culture. So it's a very common expression. Maniau. When I first heard this expression, I thought it was one word. It's only after learning kanji and Japanese in detail that I realized it's actually three different things. Ma, ni, au. Word, particle, verb. Now, lastly, we have the makeup of this kanji, which I like because it's so easy. It looks difficult, but it's not. You have this entire outside portion, which is basically a radical. It is the gate radical. Yes. I mentioned it when we started learning kanji, right? Many kanji use this radical. So if you learn it once, you've learned it for at least 10 different kanji, at least. So the way to draw it is you're going from left to right. So here you start with the leftmost stroke, move in the pattern that you know, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It always comes first. So whatever kanji this radical appears in, this part will be drawn first, and only the inside portion will change from kanji to kanji. So that's the only part you have to memorize or learn. Here, it's also a familiar radical. What is that? Sun, right? So actually, this is supposed to be a gate, and like the sun is rising, and you can see the light in the interval between the two doors, right? In this gap between the doors, sunlight is coming through. So in later kanji, instead of sun, you will see other parts there. Right? In N5 level, we will learn 2 more kanji that use this radical, but the inside part will be different. Hi.
So between A and B, there is something like, can we use the like objects? So between A and B.
Yes, you can say A to B no aida ni something ga arimasu. You can say that. So it can be physical space also, it can be time also. Both are okay.
The same ma we use a noun form.
Chigaimasu. That's a different one. Hi. This kanji okay? Right. So the remaining kanji are a little bit simpler. This is the kanji for this verb. Nan desu ka? Kimasu. Ne? To come, right? Which group is it? Which group? Ichi group or ni group? Ni group? San group. That was a trick question. It is a third group or exception verb. Kimasu is the polite form. Plain form is kuru. As I said before, until now, you have learned a few kanji for verbs. One thing you would have noticed is this part never changes. The sound never changes. In taberu, tabemasu, it's always ta, tabe. In iku, ikimasu, the e part doesn't change. But in third group verbs, even the first sound changes. That's why they're called exception verbs. There's another reading of this. It's not really that important right now. So we'll come back to that. But you can read it. Konai. Konai. Konai means to not come. It's one of the negative forms of this verb. Again, you can see the first sound is changing, right? Ki, ku, ko also it becomes. That's why it's irregular. Now, leaving all the kunyomi aside, what's the onyomi? Onyomi. Rai. Very good. Rai is so frequently used in compound kanji. For example, the second one? Rai. Getsu. Raigetsu. So Rai stands for what's yet to come. What's coming up next. So Raigetsu, next month. Raishu, next week. Rainen, next year. It's a very simple system. The year to come, the month to come, the week to come. You don't use it for days, but for everything else, it's there. Right. So kuru, kimasu, these are the important kunyomi. Rai is the onyomi. Now coming to the writing of this kanji, it's actually not very difficult. What does it look like? Yes? Kanji that you've already learned. Hon, more like, actually hon has another stroke here. Ki, right? It looks very similar to a tree kanji. So basically the idea is, it's a tree that's still growing, right? It's still coming up on top, right? The strokes are coming out. It's not finished yet. It's still coming up. There's more to be seen. So that's the idea. But the way to draw it is a little different. You have to complete all the strokes before you cut down and do the flanking strokes. Top down, as usual. So 1, right? You have to do these flanking small strokes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 大丈夫ですか? Now, just like Rai, you have another very simple kanji that's used in many places in compound words. It does not have a kunyomi. It does not stand on its own. It always comes in compounds. So only onyomi. What is the onyomi? Mai. Mai means every. So for example, mai nichi. Mai shu. Mai tsuki. Yes?
Can I see this?
Yes, please go ahead. Mai tsuki and mai toshi. Now, this is the only thing to beware. I don't know the reason for this, honestly. If you ask me, I don't know. But we don't use getsu, gatsu. We don't use onyomi here. We use kunyomi. So this is a rare case of onyomi plus kunyomi combination. And it applies for both month and year. We never say mai getsu, mai gatsu. We never say mai nen. It's always mai toshi. So mai tsuki, mai toshi, you just have to memorize it. Mai nichi, mai shu is pretty easy. Every day, every week. Watashi wa mainichi nihongo o renshū shimasu. What does it mean? Every day I practice Japanese language. Or at least I hope you do. Now this kanji,
Toshi is the
kunyomi of year.
but Tsuki means moon, right?
Tsuki is kunyomi for the moon or month kanji. It also means month. Because they used to have a lunar calendar. So one moon or one moon cycle is also 1 month. They don't anymore, but they use the same word. So you will be learning the mother kanji very soon. In lesson 13, you will learn the kanji for mother, right? That is okasan. But this kanji is actually a variant of the mother kanji. This part, the bottom, it's a variant of the mother kanji. So in the mother kanji, you will see 2 small strokes inside. Here you see a kind of plus pattern. So that's the only real difference. It's supposed to be another version of it. And the reason I'm bringing up mother here is basically it's a woman who's getting up in the morning and getting dressed, right? She's getting ready for the day. And that's something we all have to do every day, right? Whether we like it or not, we have to get out of bed and we have to get ready. It's a pattern. It's something you do very regularly, every day, every week, every month. You have to get dressed. This is supposed to be an ornament that she keeps in her hair. So that's why this image is over here. It's a woman in a kimono. And she's getting dressed and keeping her ornament. Top down kanji. This is a rare case of enclosure type where you complete it. But usually enclosures, they don't cross like this, right? It's crossing and exceeding the line. Usually they will meet perfectly. When they meet perfectly, you don't complete it in the beginning, right? You do 3/4 of it. You do like this, finish the inner portion and then close. But this is crossing, so it's not counted the same way. They finish the whole thing and then do the inner portion. There are weird patterns like this in kanji. If you ask the order, it's useful because that's how when you learn new kanji, it will be easy. But you don't have to live and die by the order. If you do it wrong once in a while, it's okay. Even Japanese people do that. So if you're drawing a plus and you do this one first once in a while, not a big deal. The point of the order is when you see a completely new and difficult kanji, it's got a lot of strokes, you know how to go about it. You have the general pattern in mind, left to right, top, down. That way, it doesn't feel like a bunch of random scribbles. There's a method to it. It's okay if you make a few mistakes here and there. The general appearance should be the same. One of the easier kanji of the entire textbook, to be honest. Hi, how do you read it? Karada. So just do a thing. Get rid of this. Hi, you can read the onyomi also. Hi. So Thai is seen in compound words. Compound words. For example, you have this. How do you read it? Are you okay? Taiku. Taiku. It means physical education. Like in school, you have physical education class, PT class. It's called Taiku in Japanese. So it's basically training the body, educating the body. So this is an example of a compound. They both have kanji. This kanji is 1. This is another kanji. It's a level N4. So you have 2 level kanji. On the other hand, when you see the kanji on its own, you read it as karada. And there's no verb or adjective or anything with this. It's just a noun. It's a very easy kanji to learn. What is this part? Yeah, it's a radical. Which one? Person radical, right? Hito, person radical. And? Yeah, it's got 1 extra stroke. So it's the book. Your body is your book, right? It's your record. It's the journal of your life. You get a scar, it will remember. You get a surgery, it will remember. It's going to remember your growth. So it's a book of your body. Sorry, book of a human being. Karada. Very easy kanji. Hai. Daijoubu desu ka? Hai.
There's another kanji which is the pedestal which has the same onyomi.
Yes, Thai. That happens. 2 different, I mean, that is to say, when you see that kanji, the pronunciation will be the same, but the meaning is very different. That's very common in Japanese.
The meaning for the Thai pedestal.
Mostly it will mean something like pedestal. So what we are using dai for is the counter. The pedestal usage, we haven't really used it much, but that's the meaning. It has like a counter, a top, or a pedestal, something on which you keep something. Like I think dai dokoro was the word example. Yeah, kitchen. So a kitchen is a place where you have some kind of stand where you can do the cooking. So that's an example. Ii desu ka? Now this is also related to time. It is the half kanji. So for example, when you talk about half an hour, right? Even in Tamil, we don't say 1 hour and 30 minutes. We always say ondra, right? It's one plus ara. So it's like that. Even in Japanese, you don't have to say 30 minutes every time. You can say half. So the word for half is han. It's the onyomi. But when you talk about time, you'll mostly use onyomi because it's multiple kanji. For example, ichiji han. 1 hour and a half. Ichiji han is 1:30, right? 1:30, 1:30 as in the time 1:30, not 1.5 hours, not the time period, but the clock time, right? 1:30. Oh, at 8:30, I have to be at school. At 1:30, my Japanese class ends. So, ichiji han. You also have nakaba, which is very similar to the naka kanji. It means middle, but naka is used, this naka is used to talk about physical space, mostly physical space. Nakaban is often used to talk about time space. So halfway through a month, around mid-August, I'll be traveling to Thailand, right? So August is hachigatsu ne. Hachigatsu no nakaba, the middle of August. So that's how this one is used mostly. You also have Han-tsuki and Han-toshi. Half a month, half a year. So you're at your office, somebody asks you, okay, how long is it going to take to get this project done? Oh, about another half a month. Han-tsuki gurai desu. Around half a month. We saw kurai yesterday, right? Kurai means about, yet approximately. Approximately half a month. Han-tsuki, kurai. Han-toshi, kurai. Around half a year. And it's also easy to learn this kanji. You want to go top down, finish all these semi-horizontal strokes, cut across with that final vertical stroke. It's perfectly even, right? It's like a mirror reflection. Hi.
If we write Toshi Han means a year and a half.
We don't use it that way. It's always Han-toshi. You want 1 year and a half. So then we say ichi nen han. Ichinen Han-toshi also sometimes they say. Ichinen 1 year, Han-toshi half a year, like that.
Han means half an hour.
This is half an hour, yes.
The second one.
Yes. Ichiji Han, it's as in 1:30, like 1:30 a.m. or p.m.
The second.
This one. Oh, Hanbun. Hanbun is half of a portion. Usually, bun reading means portion. So, hanbun is half of a portion. So, for example, you order a dish, you suddenly realize it's too big for you. Watashi, hanbun shika tabemasen. I won't eat more than half the portion. Except half, I cannot eat the rest. Hanbun shika tabemasen. So, half a portion. Hanbun.
For 1.5 years, it is Ichinen
Ichinen han.
Han.
It'll be like this ichiji han.
Ichinen Han Toshi means
Ichinen Han-toshi also means 1 year and half a year. For that, you can just say Ichinen Han. Ichinen Han would be a word of its own. If you say Ichinen Han-toshi, it'd be Ichinen is one word, Han-toshi is another word. That's the only difference. Mostly people just say Ichinen Han.
Ichi Han means
We don't change the order like that. First, you count the core thing and you add Han afterwards. That's the pattern.
Ichinen Han Toshi, we are using then.
It's actually 2 different words. So this is Han-toshi, that is Ichinen. 2 different words. If you use Ichinen Han, then it will be like using onyomi throughout.
Ichi Toshi Han.
Those combinations don't exist. You have to remember this as one word. Right? I know we're learning them as separate kanji. We combine kanji and learn a word, that word is frozen. It's fixed. You use it only that way. Daijoubu desu ka? Now we do have a couple more kanji left, but it's a bit of a break from the time stuff. It's going to be about weather. Yes. So we haven't seen anything to do with the weather yet. That makes this a little interesting. What is the first kanji? How do you read it? Hen. The heavens, the sky. Basically, it's oki kanji with 1 line on top. That is, when you're a child, it feels like adults are the biggest things, right? You look up and you think, oh, when I'm that big, I'll have my own money, I'll have my own house, and you won't have anything. You grow up, you have to get it yourself. So when you grow up, you will realize this is not true. But when you're a child, it looks like adults are the biggest thing, and the only thing bigger than them is the sky, right? It's taller than even adults. So 10 is the sky, right? A full-grown adult, above them is the sky. So 10 is basically onyomi. It's used combined with other things. For example, dozo. Tengoku. What is Goku? Country, right? It's onyomi. Onyomi plus onyomi. Tengoku is the country of the heavens. In other words, it's paradise, right? It's heaven. It's a place you go to, hopefully, if you've been a nice person throughout your life, if you believe in that. So this is 10. The reason we're learning 10 is actually because it's used in the word for weather, right? The weather in Japanese is tenki. Tenki. Now, the second kanji in this is the ki kanji. Ki basically means mood. In other words, the mood of the skies is the weather, right? No one controls it. It has its own mood. It decides. Yeah, ki also means tree. That's that kanji. This is a different kanji. It'll happen. It's all throughout Japanese language. You see the same sound again and again. This is why kanji is useful. It'd be a little difficult without kanji. So ki. So some of you may like watching anime. You might watch a lot of different anime, and there's this one concept that often occurs in anime. Have you heard of this? Like Dragon Ball Z, and like not the character, but the word means energy. Sometimes they also pronounce it as ki. It's also written as QI in Chinese. Actually, this is a Chinese concept. It comes from, I've mentioned it before, Tai Chi, right? Tai Chi is actually body energy, right? We saw body, seeing energy. So Tai Chi is control of the body's energy. It's a type of martial art, right? And it involves a lot of very slow movements because you're controlling the flow of energy in your body. So Qi is a very fundamental philosophical concept for Chinese people. It is the energy that balances the whole universe. So Qi has a light side and a dark side, and they're constantly in balance. So that Qi, originally in Chinese, this was the kanji. It looks more complex, right? Then they simplified it, thank God. In Japanese, they simplified it for us, so it's easier. Now, what this kanji represents, this is supposed to be it's supposed to be a rice grain radical and an airflow radical. That is to say, there are two things that you need for energy: food and breath. This is the core, right? Carbohydrates, energy, and breath. Without this, you don't have life. It's a very, very interesting philosophy bundled into this kanji, which I really like. So philosophy aside, you want to come top down for this kanji, right? Move left to right, and then fill the inner part. In Japanese, it's not a complicated thing. After you finish this, it's an X in the center, right? Just an X. It's a simplified version of this radical, actually. Hi.
Is also energy. Oh, Genki, we have some word like energy.
Oh, Genki.
Genki.
The key in Genki is this. Gen means original. So Genki is your original energy. So that is to say, we're all born with healthy energy, right? As we get older, we get sick, right? The older you get, you're 90, you're 100, your body starts falling apart. So your Genki is lost over time. So that is why Genki means energy. It's your original energy. It's good energy. You're sound. You're perfect when you come out. It's over time that it starts dwindling. Hi. So this is Ki kanji. I know it was a bit complicated story, but it's actually a very interesting story also. So Tenki is the mood. Actually, the key part here, it's not just energy. It also means feelings, mood, mind, air, steam, all of these things. Because breath is energy. Breath is your mood. You might have heard about this from like movies and things like that. There are these really amazing people, when they control their breath, they feel less pain, they don't feel hunger. They can control their body's feelings by controlling their breath. So it's actually very deeply connected. So that's why you have ki also meaning feeling or mood. So the mood of the sky is weather. Genki is your health, right? Physical body health of a person, your original health. Genki da. It's an adjective, right? We also have another word here. What is it? Kimochi. Kimochi is your feelings, like feeling angry, feeling sad, feeling hungry. Well, not hungry, more like sad and angry, things like that. Emotional feelings are kimochi. Okay? So, kimochi-ii, to feel good, good feeling. Kimochi-warui is a bad feeling. So I have a bad feeling about it, right? I feel sick thinking about it. It's kimochi-warui desu. The last couple of kanji, I'm sorry, it's been quite a bit of kanji in lesson 10, but these are the last two. They also have to do with weather, and we're going to learn the two salient weather types. One is sunny, and the other is so that is summer and winter are seasons. This is weather, right? It changes from day to day. So sunny and rainy, right? We're going to see those. The first is sunny. And basically, it's enough if you learn just the kunyomi for this. What is the kunyomi? Hare. Hare. Hare is the noun form. So Japanese people like sunny weather. This is because it's not summer for them throughout the year, unlike us. We don't like the sun so much. So hare is also good weather. It is pleasant weather for them. They don't like the rain, they don't like the snow, because they experience it for long stretches of time. So good weather, sunny weather is hare. Kyou wa hare desu ne. Today is sunny, isn't it? It's a nice weather, isn't it? You also have a verb form, hareru. Hareru is to clear up. That is, the sky is clearing up. The clouds are dispersing. Ichi group or ni group? Hareru, haremasu. Exactly. Now this kanji is very nice. Sun, easy to remember. And the entire second portion is actually a kanji of its own. It's the kanji for the color blue. Do you remember what blue is? Aoi, right? So it's the kanji for that. So basically, when the sun is up there and the sky is blue, you have sunny weather. Right? But the blue kanji itself is made up of two parts. It's a moon radical, and it's kind of like the sensei say, it's not exactly that though. It's a variant of the earth radical. So what I like to think of it as is, when the sky is so clear that you can see the moon when the sun is out. Have you seen that? Sometimes in the evenings, around 4 o'clock, you have a nice clear sky, you can see the moon, right? Hare. Good weather, nice clear weather, you can see the moon and the sun at the same time.
The top one is earth radical.
It's a variant of the earth radical, but please remember that the strokes are a little bit different. So the meaning here, it's not of say or earth or anything. It's just kind of an extra part. Sometimes that happens. And lastly, rain. Final kanji for the day. How do we read it? What's the kunyomi? Ame. 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 Exactly. Ame is rain. It's also very self-descriptive kind of kanji. If you see it, you think of rain. This is supposed to be a cloud and it's supposed to be pouring down with rain, right? And these are little droplets inside, right? Sometimes it pours in sheets, sometimes it pours in drops. Hai. Ame. Ame. You also have onyomi u, right? It's seen in words like uki. Uki means rainy season. Like what we have here called monsoon. They don't have something strictly like monsoon, but they do have a rainy season. So uki, in that you see that reading. Otherwise, ame is the noun form. 今日は雨ですね. Today it's a rainy day. It's rainy. If you want to talk about rainfall, like it is raining, we use this verb. What is this verb? Furu. Furu, to fall. So it's like the rain falls. Ame ga furu. Ichi group or any group? Ichi group. Very good. What's the polite form? Furimasu. Furimasu ne. Ame ga furimasu. Kyou wa ame ga furimasu. Today it will rain. Today it will rain. Something you can never say with certainty in Chennai. Sorry? Uki. This is a different key. It means season. So rainy season. There's a different kanji. The word for season is kisetsu. Ki has a kanji, setsu has a kanji. It's that ki that you see in uki. So rain, season. Kisetsu. Kisetsu is season. We'll be learning the kisetsu kanji also in lesson 16. Summer, winter, autumn, and spring. We'll see these 4 kanji soon. Some of you may know it already. Spring in Japan is haru. Haru. Summer is natsu. Autumn or fall is aki. And winter is fuyu. Fuyu. Fuyu is winter. So interestingly, Japanese people generally don't like fuyu, winter, because they see a lot of rain. But the other 3 seasons are generally, they like them. The summer gets a bit hot, but otherwise they like them. So all 3 season names are commonly used in the names of girls when they're born in that season. Haru-ko, haruko. Natsu-ko, natsuko. Aki-ko, akiko. These are all common girl names for people who are born in that season. Very easy, simple name scheme. Hi. So that will be all for kanji. I know it's quite a bit, so please do take some time to review it this week. I also want everyone to study lesson 11 kanji before next Sunday's class. Yes, so by Friday, you should have revised level. Turn this off? Yes, sorry. Stop.
Since it's lesson 11 kanji will be in the video, right?
Yes, the video will be available in your Hayakawa login.
Right.
Hi. So in your Hayakawa login, you know the place where you go to see the class recording videos? Instead of clicking on that, if you scroll down, there's another heading called media, right? If you click on that, it will expand and you'll have lesson 11 kanji, lesson 12 kanji, different videos for each lesson. Each is about 15 to 20 minutes. 15 minutes if it's short, like if the number of kanji are fewer, it will be 15 minutes. There's more kanji in that lesson, it'll be slightly longer. There's also one extra video called additional kanji. It's not strictly required, but those of you who are planning to write the exam or you're going to study the next level immediately, it will be useful for you to learn the additional kanji. They will be slightly higher than N5 level, but it'll be useful going forward. Hi. 大丈夫ですか? Ja, we'll get into talking about time. So we just have a little bit, we have about 45 minutes. I want to get comfortable talking about time in Japanese before we close. So first, to ask about time. Nanji desu ka? Nanji desu ka? What hour is it? If you want to be more precise, ima nanji desu ka? Right now, what hour is it? And we saw the pattern earlier, right? 1 o'clock is ichiji. It would be written like this mostly, but sometimes they may use kanji for the number. So ichiji, you're using onyomi, so that is 1 o'clock. So 2 o'clock, niji. 3, sanji. So 4, of course, every time you have to learn it new. Yoji. It's always Yoji. Okay. 5, Goji.
Goji. Rokuji.
Rokuji. Fantastic. 7,
Nanaji.
always
Shachiji.
Shichiji. We don't say Nanaji. Usually it's
Shachiji.
so Yoji, Shichiji. 8, Hachiji. 9, Hai.
Koji.
Catching on to the pattern. Usually when you change 4 and 7, you'll change 9 too. So Kuji, Juji, Juri,
Juji.
12.
Juniji.
Very good.
Juniji.
There's one very important hour that's not covered in this. What is that? 0, right? So 0 in Japanese is re. So you pronounce it as reji. Ne? Reji is basically midnight, right? This is midnight. This is mid-afternoon, 12 o'clock. Juniji, reji, reji. Now, for the rest of the numbers, of course, we'll want to distinguish between AM and PM. So the word for AM, Bozo, you can read it here. Go, zen. Go zen. Okay, go zen. What is a zen kanji? We learned zen as the onyomi, but we didn't look at any word examples. We just learned the kunyomi of this kanji. So it's got 2 little portions on top, and then the moon radical here, and then the knife radical. You're cutting off a portion of the front. The mae kanji. Mae. So go zen is using the onyomi. Go here means noon. Right? The kanji here, it's a new kanji. You haven't learned it before. It's not given in your textbook, but you can just take a note of it. It's only 3 strokes, right? 1, 2, 3. Looks a little bit like chi, little bit like chi, but it's very straight, very stiff kanji. So go zen, before noon, right? Prior to noon is AM. So can you guess what PM will be? Afternoon. The go part is the same. Very good. What is the word for after? I heard someone say the right answer. The word opposite of mae is hai. Ushiro. Ushiro. But ushiro is behind, right? You have another reading. The onyomi of that kanji is go. So PM is go-go. Go-go. So PM. AM, go zen. PM, go-go. But how do we put this all together? We have to talk about time to see what order we proceed. Before that, we also learn how to talk about minutes. 1 minute.
Hepun. Hepun. Hepun.
Ippun. Ippun. 2 minutes. 2.
Nihun.
Yes. When it comes to 2, we never change the pronunciation, right? Nihun. Ippun. Nihun.
San.
Sun.
San.
So in this case alone, we're going to add san and the question word in pa sound. Sanpun.
Sanpun. Yonpun.
Very special case. Very, very special. It almost never happens. Only for pun we see this. Yongpun.
Yonpun.
5 minutes.
Gohun.
Berpun. 6. Rok.
Rokun.
7.
Nanahun. Apun.
Pun. 9.
Yuhum.
Pun.
Yuhum.
And 10?
Juhun. Jupun.
Juppun.
Jupun.
Juppun. Right? Juppun.
Jupun.
So you have quite a few exceptions here. Ichi, san, yon, roku, hachi, ju. Nearly half of them, you have this exception of changing to pa sound. If you keep saying it, you'll get used to it. Past juppun, it depends on what's in the ones digit. So 11 minutes is juippun. 12, ju nihun. Ju sampun. Ju yonpun. Ju gohun. Ju roppun. Ju nanapun. Ju happun. Ju kyufun. Then nijuppun. And go on until you only have 60. And you won't say 60 because it'll be the next hour. So you'll only really go up to 59. What is 59 minutes? Goju kyufun. Goju kyufun. You'll almost never have to say it, but just for practice. Now let's quickly practice. Now I mentioned earlier how to say half. These are all half hours, right? Do you remember how to say half hour? Han, right? So what time is this? 2? Is it 2? 1:30, right? ATG? Han. Sadly, you feel like, oh, I've started forgetting how to tell time. Yes? Ichiji Han. 1:30. What about the next one? Hachiji Han. 8:30. The third one? 4:30 is? Yoji?
Koji Han.
Yoji Han. 4:30 Yoji Han and? Nana?
Hanaji Han.
Shichiji Han. Right? Shichiji Han. So Ichiji Han, Hachiji Han, Yoji Han, Shichiji Han. So it's for half hour you can say sanjuppun. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but this is more natural. Now let's practice telling the precise time. For example, the first one, 9:05 is? Kuji. It's written here actually. Kuji Gohun. Kuji Gohun. It's 9:05. 9:05. Kuji Gohun. How about the second one? 5:15. Goji. 15 minutes. Jugo Hun. 15分。5時15分。5時15分。今何時ですか ?5 時15分です。How about the next one? It's 1:45, not 2, right? 1時45分。1時45分。今何時ですか Right now, what time is it? By the way, that's running a bit fast. 1? Will you stay till that long? It's 12:21. How can we say it? 12時21分。Very good. 12時21分です。今12時21分です。Now that's of course the convenience of or inconvenience of a digital clock. If you want to see a physical clock, you will round it up, which is fine. You can do that too. You can just say 12時20分 or 12時25分, depending on which is easier to round. What's the last one over there? 12:55. How do we say it? 12時55分。55分。12時55分。1:55. Sorry, 12:55. So you do have ways. In English, sometimes if it's really close to the next hour, we don't say 12:55. We say 5 minutes to 1, right? 10 minutes to 1, quarter to 1, and so on. There are ways to do that in Japanese. We'll see it in just a bit. Until that, A little more practice. Those are Yoji, Yoji, Yoji 10分ですね。4時10分。This is 6時20分。ね、20分。After that? 3時 Is it 8? It's 40, right? 40分。ね、40 is 40. 10分 changes in pronunciation. So 40分。ね。This is 3時40分. And after that? 7時50分。ね、7時50分。Now, how to talk about 10 minutes before, right? A particular hour. First up, you have to start the hour that you say should be the next hour. Instead of 12時, you should say 1時, right? It's 5 minutes before 1, right? So 1時, 5 minutes, 5分, right? 1時, 5分. What is before? 前. So it's 1時, 5分前. 5 minutes to 1. 1時5分前. The reason it's challenging for us is the before part comes at the end.
5 minutes.
Yes, exactly. 1 o'clock, 5 minutes before. So how about for the others? Can we try it really quickly? The ones that can be done. I think this. 15 minutes to 2. Quarter to 2. 15 minutes. 15分前. Very good. 2時15分前. 2時15分前. How about this one?
20 minutes to 4.
20 minutes to 4. So 4 o'clock. 4時. Very good. 4時20分前. It's 20 minutes before 4. 4時20分前. How about the last one? 10 minutes to 8. 8時 10 minutes. 10分前. ね、8時10分前. ね、8時10分前. Fantastic. Now, the only thing we have to add to the whole, yes.
Are they following 12 hours format or 24 hours?
So you do follow both. So sometimes in office environments, they follow 24 hours. In that case, you continue counting the normal way. So, 13時. They would say for 1 o'clock, 13 at 100 hours, right? Or 14, 14時, and so on. Hi.
For seconds, what that means.
Sorry?
Seconds.
Seconds is byo. You don't usually tell people to time in seconds, so we don't teach that in this level, but you have the word byo. Byo means seconds. So yeah. Ichibyo, you don't say pyo. It doesn't become pa, stays ba. So ichibyo, nibyo, sambyo, sanjubyo, 30 seconds, and so on. You won't really count much. Maybe if you're using like a timer or you're telling someone you have only 30 seconds on the clock, that kind of situation, you can use it. Right. So the last thing we have to add to the mix is AM and PM, right? So when we say it in English, we add AM and PM at the end, which means in Japanese, you have to do the reverse, opposite. You have to add it before. Dozo, you can read the first one. Gozen, shichiji, 7 a.m. So let's try the others. That is 4 o'clock. Gogo, yoji. So you want to say gogo, yoji. So if you want, you can think in reverse if it's easier initially. But if you can get it out of the way, say it first. AM, PM. Try to get used to saying it first. So gozen shiji. Go yoji. Next one is gozen
Gozen.
kuji.
Kuji.
Gozen kuji. And the last one is go.
Go. Roku.
Very good. Go rokuji. Now, actually, I was lying. That's not the last thing. You do have one more thing, and that is talking about durations of time, right? From so and so time until so and so time. We've learned the word for from before. Very close. Kara. Kara is from. Until is
Okay.
made. So from 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock. Again, in English, we say from in the beginning, which means in Japanese, we have to put it afterwards. So from 7, you have to say 7 first. Shichiji. Kara. 11. Jumi. Juichi. Ji. It's hour, right? Hour. So, shichiji kara juichiji made. Okay? Shichiji kara juichiji made. I'll just clean this slide so you can read that. Shichiji kara juichiji made. Now, there are different ways to say something to someone. So, it depends on what they ask you. For example, gakko wa nanji kara nanji made desu ka? From when to when is your school? You can say, watashi no gakko wa 8時から 3時までです. So you can reply with desu also. You can also talk about doing actions. We'll see that in a couple of slides, but let's quickly practice kara and made. Right? So this is what time? 10:30, 6, right? So from 10:30 until 6. From 10:30. 10. So that's simple. 10 is Ju. Eh? So Ju, Ji, Han. 6 o'clock. Exactly. 10時半から6時までです. It can be anything. For now, we'll just keep it simple. 10時半から6時までです. And lastly, what time is that?
Sumimasen, you need to mention the AM PM here, otherwise it will be confusing here.
We can add it. So if you want to mention AM PM, you just have to add it before this time. So gozen 7時からgozen 11時まで. Or gozen 10時半から午後6時まで. You can say that. Here in the practice, I didn't mention, but you can definitely do that.
Right. Thank you.
Yes?
I have a question. So, is Japanese time ahead of India or India?
Yes, they're ahead of us. So the more to the east the country is, usually the time will be ahead. It's 3.5 hours ahead of us. So right now it would be around 3:30, 4 p.m. in Japan. There's a Japanese, so we have 2 clocks downstairs in the admin office. One that has Japan time and one has Indian time. So you can check and compare. So if you work in a Japanese office, Japanese people who work in India, poor things, they tend to work overtime because they'll keep getting emails from their Japanese counterparts in Japan. They start their work day earlier for our time. So if it's 9 a.m. for us, it's already noon for them. So they would have already been working for 3 hours. So their 9 o'clock is like 6 a.m. for us. So from 6 a.m., these people are going to start getting emails. And then they sometimes go to work ridiculously early so that they can stay on top of their emails. It is one of the challenges of working, but it's more a problem for Japanese people than Indians. That is, they will get emails from Japan more often if you work in a Japanese company in India. If you go to Japan, of course, you'll work in Japan time. Hi. 大丈夫ですか? We were doing the last one, right? 3:20? 3時? Ah, Sanji, 20, Niju, right? 20 minutes? 20分, right? 20分. Sanji 20分から3時40までですね。3時20分から3時40分までです。It can be anything like your break time. までから and まで. Are these okay? So just a little more practice. We're going to try making sentences saying that this place operates from this time to this time. You can read the sentence example. Fantastic. スーパーは7時から11時までです。Now you can also add AM and PM. So if I wanted to say 7 AM to 11 PM. 午前スーパーは午前7時から午後11時までです。ね、Supermarket is from this time to this time. 7-Eleven, have you heard of this place? Very popular, yeah, convenience store. It's famous because its timings are like this. They're open almost through the whole day. But 24-hour convenience stores are even better and more common in Japan. They're just open all the time. 7-Eleven, famously, of course, it's early in the morning till late at night, but it's not quite throughout the whole day. はい、これは何ですか？どこですか？そうですね。会社は何時から何時までですか？はい。9時から5時までです。If you want to add AM and PM. That's 3 different go in the same word. This is noon, this is after, this is 5. All go. You know one more go. Nihongo, Eigo. はい。どこですか？デパートですね。デパートは何時から何時までですか？10時から10時から6時までです。Now, はい。午前午後Now, sometimes instead of 午前 people may use 朝 morning 朝7時からですよ。It's from morning 7 o'clock. Sometimes. はい。And lastly, ここはどこですか？学校ですね。学校は何時から何時までですか？8時。午前8時20 minutes. 20分から3時40分までです。Right? You can say either 朝 or 午前。午前8時20分から午後3時40分までです。はい。お疲れ様でした。時間は大丈夫ですか？We are going to learn one last thing. It's not to do with time exactly, but as I was saying earlier, you can talk about actions, doing actions at a particular time. So we'll see that. We're also going to learn a few new time-oriented verbs or actions like waking up, sleeping, and working, right? The 3 core things that we do in the day. Yes, to wake up. Sorry. to wake up, the verb is, actually I've mentioned it before. Does anyone remember? Yes. Okiru. Okiru. Or ni group.
Ichigo.
It's ending in ru. What's the sound before ru? E sound. So which group? Ni group. Ni group. If it's E or A sound before ru, it's usually ni group. What's the polite form? Okimasu. Ne? Okimasu. So you have to ask someone, when do you wake up every day? What's the word for every day? Mainichi. Fantastic. Mainichi. What time? What hour? Nanji ni okimasu ka? So we have a new particles here. So ni here, at, we use it to mark time of an action. The precise time at which you do an action. Right? It's usually used to mark hours and minutes. Nanji ni okimasu ka? Mainichi nanji ni okimasu ka? Say this person wants to say, every day I wake up at 7 a.m. 7時に 私は毎日 AM 午前7時に起きます。7時に起きます。Opposite of 起きます to sleep. 起きません is to not wake up. That's also an option. But here I meant to go to sleep. Now, yasumi is to rest, but to sleep, right? Deep slumber for like 7-8 hours at night. That is?
Oyasumi.
Again, oyasumi is just a rest, right? A break. This is? Neru. Ichi group or ni group? This is also second group. Ending in ru, the sound before is a sound. Polite form is? Nemasu. So, when do you sleep every day? How do you ask the question? Mainichi. Nanji ni? Mainichi nanji ni nemasu ka? And say this is an early bird. 10時に Right, PM? 毎日午後10時に寝ます。Right, I sleep at 10 p.m. And lastly, work, right? The thing you do between wake and sleep. Either work or studies, of course. We know one form of, I think, just gakko, gakusei, we've seen all that. We haven't seen the verb for study yet, right? The verb for study is benkyo. Benkyo is actually a noun. You can make it a verb by adding suru. Benkyo suru, benkyo shimasu. Right? Dozo. Benkyo suru. I'll just quickly write that down. I think it's relevant for a lot of people. So, benkyo is elongated, right? This is elongated. Benkyo suru. So, benkyo shimasu, polite form. Okay. This is to work. It's a bit of a long sound. Dozo. Hataraku. Hataraku. Ichi group or ni group?
Ichi group.
Very good. This is ichi group, ne? It's ending in something that's not ru. So it has to be ichi group. Hataraku, polite form? Hatarakimasu.
Hatarakimasu.
Hi. Somebody is thinking in negative forms today. Hatarakimasen ne. I also don't want to. Hi. Hatarakimasu. Hataraku. Hatarakimasu. To work. Now, of course, you don't work only at 10 o'clock or at 11 o'clock. You work from and to. So every day, from when to when do you work? Mainichi. From which hour? From what time? Nanji kara
Nanji made,
Nanji made,
Ne, mainichi, or you can also say itsumo, every time, always. Ne, nanji kara nanji made hatarakimasu ka? From when to when do you work? Let's say this person wants to say from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Gozen 9時から6時までです。I work. You want to say I work? まで働きます。Instead of saying です、you can say 働きます。I work from this time until this time. So when you're talking about from and to, you don't need to add ni particle. You already have from and to, right? So ni is only at exactly that hour I do an action, right? So itsumo 9時に something 起きます。9時から5時まで働きます。or 勉強します。ね。Example. For example, 日本語のクラスは何時から何時までですか
11時から
午前11時から午後1時までです。ね、日本語のクラスは午前11時から午後11時までです。午後1時までですね。It's until 1 p.m. 何曜日ですか 2 days, right? So A と B, we have to say. 土曜日と日曜日です。So if you want to say, on Saturdays and Sundays, I have Japanese class, then you can use ni particle. 土曜日と日曜日に日本語のクラスがあります。On Saturday and Sunday. So you can use ni not just to mark hours and minutes, but also days and dates. So for example, on the 15th, right? On the 15th, I have to go to school. 15日に学校に行きます。I will go to school on the 15th. So exact days, exact weekdays, dates, or anything, you can use ni. But it's an exact time, not a period of time, not a duration of time, but exactly that day or date. You do not use ni to mark relative time like today, tomorrow, next week, last month. We usually don't use any particle for those. So you don't have to say kyo ni, just kyo. No particle required. Ashita ni, not required. Raishu ni, you don't have to say. Just raishu is enough. Only for specific days we use ni particle. Okay, desu ka? Hai.
Manabu is steady, right?
Manabu is also study. Manabu, manabimasu.
So,
Hai.
Sentence nadarikimasu is to work, right?
Hatarakimasu. It means to work. Is there another question or?
No.
Sumimasen.
so here for Manabu, steady and studying, only the tense are changing, but we are having two different words for Manabu study and for studying the different.
Manabu means a slightly different kind of studying. Manabu is to learn something. Benkyo is to study something. Benkyo suru is to study something. So manabu is like picking it up for the first time. It's also sometimes used with skills. But benkyo suru is like textbook learning. Like after you learn in class, you go home and you do that. That's also benkyo suru. So it's a little broader in the way that it's used. There's another verb also called narau for learning. We'll look at the differences between them when we'll learn the kanji for narau. So at that time, I'll discuss all three again. Until this, is it fine? Koko made wa daijoubu desu ka? Until this? Dewa, we're going to just move away from the time thing just for the last few. It's more a recap. We've already learned this, but we didn't really practice it. So I wanted to quickly recap so that we can practice it a little bit so you don't forget about it. Now, verb forms, talking about actions. We have seen how to do it in plain language, polite language. We also saw polite negative form, right?
Negative.
Kuru, I come. Kimasu, I will come. Kimasen, I won't come. We did learn very quickly, very briefly, how to talk about it in the past form. How do you change it to past form? So, masu becomes mashita. Ne? Ikimasu, ikimashita. Okimasu, okimashita. Kimasu, kimashita. So we never really practiced this. So I thought we'll just quickly practice this a little bit. Kind of an easy way to end the weekend, right? The tricky part is I'm not giving you the masu form. You have to change it from plain to polite and then to mashita. Hi. Ikimasu, to go. So past form is
Ikimasu.
ikimashita. Ne? I went. Kino 学校に行きました。ね、モールに行きました。映画に行きました。I went for a movie. 読む、
読みました。
読みます。読みました。
読みました。
あの本はもう読みました。I've already read it. いる、あ、いる、to be, to exist. It's which group?
Second.
Second group, right? います。いました。
います。
いました。いました。いました。Hey, was Raja here yesterday? 昨日、ラジャさんはいましたか？いましたよ。He was there. You just didn't see him. いました。ある？
あります。
え
ありました。
Was that question on the exam? ありましたよ。It was there. 使う。It's ichi group, right? So, 使います。
使います。
まし
使いました。
使いました。What does it mean? To use, right? Yesterday, I used chopsticks. How can you say it? 箸を used. 使いました。ね Yesterday? 明日 tomorrow. 昨日ね。昨日ね。お箸を使いました。Yesterday, I used chopsticks. はい。寝る means sleep.
寝ます。寝ます。寝ます。
寝ました。寝ました。昨日
寝ました。
9時に寝ました。I slept at 9 o'clock. So early. 起きる also second group.
起きました。
起きました。This morning 9時に起きました。I woke up at 9 o'clock. Very late. 起きました。はい。する past form is します。しました。宿題をしました。I did my homework. 来る来る polite form? 来ますね。来ました。来ました。He came. 食べる to eat? 食べました。食べましたか Did you eat? はい。朝ごはんを食べました。I had my breakfast. 買う買いました。Fantastic. 買う買います。買いました。I bought it. ね。はい。Very good. 1グループですね。作りました。ね。今朝動作を作りました。
作りました。
The word 今朝 means this morning. はい。今朝動作を作りました。今朝 is precisely only today morning, right? No other day. Asa is any morning, right? You can generally use asa, but 今朝 is only for today, the day that you're talking about. So 今朝 something を作りました。I made.
働
働きました。So if you want to say, yesterday I worked until 11 p.m. 昨日は午前午後ね。until までsorry 働きました。昨日午後11時まで働きました。はい。
Have that word this morning. So
Yes.
this means kono like.
Nothing like that. It's a very, very old Japanese word. The history is very complicated. There's nothing like that. It's completely separate. Hi. So, 昨日午後11時まで働きました。ね、I worked in the past. Again, I'm sorry if you are feeling hungry about lunch. So, I made chapati and dosa. You can just say chapati. 私は
私は
and
動作です。
wa or what particle? Object of your action. 作りました。チャパティと動作を作りましたね。I went for shopping by car. 私は by car. 車で for shopping. Particle? I went. 行きました。私は車で買い物に行きました。You can change the order if you want. So, 買い物に車で行きました。Both are fine. No problem. But past tense, it's already over. The action is finished. Hi. I slept at 11 o'clock. 私は午後11時 at 寝ました。Very good. 11時に寝ました。I read a Japanese book, a Japanese language book. 日本語の本を読みます。読みました。ね、日本語の本を読みました。I read, I finished. The action is completed. はい、お疲れ様でした。Any questions about? Yes?
Currently, I'm doing like this now.
We will be learning that soon. Lesson 14, we will learn about it in detail. Lesson 11, we'll learn something very important so that we can talk about it. So, as I said in Japanese, basically you have two forms, non-past and past. Non-past is used for basically future things. Things that have not yet happened. Past is used for things that are finished. You do have present continuous, that is the progressive thing, but it's not considered a tense. That's because the verb form is not strictly different like these. So we'll be learning continuous or progressive very soon and doing. Right? I am studying, I am reading, I am sleeping. Well, mostly you won't tell someone I'm sleeping, but yes, she is sleeping. You can talk about another person. We'll see it very soon. Until this, is it okay? Any questions? はい。質問はあります。はい。わかりました。はい。Yes. Great. If there are no questions, we can close. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Close with this today. Yes? はい。オンラインの皆さん、質問ありますか? Do you have any questions? 大丈夫ですね。はい。はい。では、this week, remember, Lesson 9, exercises, online exercises and Renshu is your homework. Lesson 10 and lesson 11 kanji is your homework for this coming week. So lesson 10 we did in class, lesson 11 you have to watch the video online and practice the kanji. Please come ready for it by next week. Next week on Saturday, we'll finish lesson 10. It's a big lesson. Then we'll do lesson 11 also. So you know the kanji. Doing lesson 11, the slide part will be easier because the kanji will be on the slides. So it will become practice for you to read the kanji if you prepare it in advance. 大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫です。
はい。Great. では皆さん、お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
はい。また来週。ね、See you next week. ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました、先生。
はい。ありがとうございます。はい。
In schedule has been like we have class test on.
No, it's so usually we have to complete lesson 10 or preferably lesson 11 before the class test. So next week.
Next week.
Yeah. It won't get enabled until we finish that class. So even if it's enabled, please don't take it yet. Yes.
I will not take it. It will be 3 hours. It will be
It's not 3 hours. Only about half an hour.
half an hour class test.
Just half an hour.
Will we be doing by ourselves or it will be done in the class?
It will be at home. So you'll have to, it's kind of like homework, but you have to do it online. And I will ask everyone to schedule the slot when they're doing it because I have to check your
Access.
answers and do the correction part. And it also has a spoken